And that's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are live. So, uh, thank you guys for tuning in. Today, I have the opportunity to interview one of my very good friends. His name is Tim. He's a five-star realtor. También, si quieren leer los subtítulos en español, lo pueden hacer. En YouTube hay una opción donde puede presionar donde está una CC y luego escoge el idioma de español. So, thank you guys for being with us. Like I said, I'm here with Tim Houck. He's a realtor. And today I thought that we would learn, what it takes to buy a home or what the process is like. So I have some questions prepared for Tim, and he has some pictures that he's going to show us, and he has. So I hope that this is very educational. So with that, Tim, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you serve, and just tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you, Mel. Well, first and foremost, very honored to be here, and thanks for inviting me. So, looking forward to sharing my experiences with you all. But yes, I'm a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I worked in the real estate industry for over 8 years. My father is also a realtor in Orange County, so grew up with it in my family. So, I live locally here in the South Bay, serve the South Bay, greater Los Angeles area. I've sold homes in San Diego, Orange counties, Los Angeles County, and Ventura County, so all over Southern California.
Did you mention how many years you've been doing this, or?
Yeah, so over 8 years I've been.
Over 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And I saw that in your card, it said five-star realtor. What does that mean? So,
Yes, yes, and that's based off reviews. So I have on, if you go on Zillow or Yelp, I have, I believe on Zillow over 50 five-star reviews. So that's past clients that I've worked with have been generous to give me a five-star review. So um,
well, I didn't give you a five-star review
I
because
need to.
I didn't know that I could do that.
Yes, I
But
might need to ask you
we,
for a review, Mel. Yeah, so grateful that yeah, I had the opportunity to work with Mel on his home purchase too.
yeah, thank you. I was able to buy my first home with your help. So
Yes,
thank,
of course.
thank you so much. So we'll start off with some of the questions then that I have for you. And the first one is, what are the key factors to consider when choosing a neighborhood? So not even choosing the home, but just choosing a neighborhood. What is the for some of the factors to consider?
It's a great question, and first and foremost, I would say to have home buyers drive a neighborhood, right? So if they're unfamiliar with an area, to drive around at all hours of the day during rush hour, in the mornings, look at traffic, and sometimes I'll have people that are unfamiliar with areas ask me about crime, right? It's a very general question too, and say, is there crime here? Unfortunately, there's crime most everywhere, so I recommend going online looking for that. But generally, if you drive through the neighborhood, you can see if it's to your liking, right? The condition of other homes. And if you're from afar or you're relocating, Google Maps is a great resource too. You can drive right down the street just online and take a look as well. But other than looking at, visually looking at neighborhoods, I recommend, obviously looking within your price point, getting pre-approved for a home loan so you know what you can afford and you're not looking you know, in an unrealistic price range. You're looking within what you can afford.
Well, that's real good. Can you talk a little bit about that? Just the process of, uh, I mean, I guess choosing a neighborhood, but now you're talking about the process of like, okay, you're thinking about buying a home. Like, what is the process of getting pre-approved and all of that? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, sure. So to submit an offer on any home, you need a pre-approval, home loan pre-approval. So you would need to talk to your bank or a loan officer to, they would gather your documentations, your bank statements, and if anyone's been through the home purchase, they know it's a little tedious, but essentially they give you a letter stamping you are qualified for an $800,000 home, right? $1 million home, whatever that amount is, that's your limit, and you cannot go above it. So you want to do that first before actually going out and viewing homes, so that you're not setting an unrealistic expectation that I'm looking for $1 million home when I actually can only afford a $700,000 home. So that's the first step, and that's my highest recommendation. So down payment options as well. So beyond just getting pre-approved, you can put 5% down on a home, 10%, 20%. there's different options for you as well.
Thank you. I remember when I was purchasing a home, I told you like, hey, this is my budget. This is what I think I can afford. And then after I came back from the loan agents and all that, I told you, well, this is actually the number that I can
Right,
afford. And
right.
then as a realtor, then you just narrow down like where we can actually see and things like that,
Exactly.
right? So.
Exactly. So you look within the neighborhoods of, okay, if I could afford X amount, like you said, then where are the best neighborhoods that you could foresee yourself in? Exactly.
And I know that in the housing market is always changing. What kind of a market are we in right now? Like in this past year, has the real estate market changed? Where are we now within this past months or even this past year? Or where do you see it going?
Great question. So it's been pretty stable, and it's been a lot dependent on interest rates, and they've been generally in the 6 to low 7% up and down. So pricing has been pretty stable. Homes are still selling quickly in the South Bay or areas of interest among home buyers. But as you see rates go down, demand will increase, and there'll be more buyers that will want to get into the home buying market. So right when rates were up in the mid sevens, 7.5%, that put a lot of people out of the home buying market. But now as they've gone down to the low sixes, I think people are interested. So what forecasters are sharing with us, and forecasting interest rates is a very hard thing to do, and people give all these projections, and oftentimes they're wrong. But people are sharing that it's likely that rates will come down, interest rates, and if that happens, there will be more home buyers in the market. So it will become more competitive. But I don't see home prices going down, just in my experience. And I've worked with a lot of people that have been, they sit on the sidelines and they wait for home buying, and they've been doing so for years and years, and they're, just regretting it. So I always share, if you can afford your payment and get out of the renting market, you can start building equity in home ownership, and just know that you can steadily make your monthly payment, right? And that's a good option for you.
Thank you, Tim. So is it a seller's market right now or is it a buyer's market?
Great question, and it's all neighborhood dependent, right? So if you're looking,
Okay.
right, if you're looking in certain areas, generally in the, you know, higher luxury price points, those homes can sit on the market, a couple million plus. But generally speaking, as I mentioned, in the areas of interest, homes are still selling quickly. So um, it's very specific to each home too, and that's a big part of my job, is to learn the situation of a home. Right when a home's listed, calling the listing agent, learning more about the home, price point. A home can be overpriced and it sits on the market for a couple months and price needs to be reduced, or a home can still sell within the first week on the market. So you see a variety of those two, but to generalize, because we're talking, a very general question, homes are still selling quickly, if they're priced right in good neighborhoods. Yes.
Thanks, Tim. So now we're gonna get a little more personal, I guess, going outside of the pragmatic word. Uh, what are some of the common mistakes that you see, although that you have seen the first-time home buyers make, or even second-time home buyers? Like, what are some of the common mistakes that you
Sure.
have seen in your experience?
That's a great question. So back to what I was sharing about becoming pre-approved for a home loan. Often I'll talk with home buyers at open houses or first-time home buyers, and they're shopping for a home, but they don't even know what they can afford, or what they know what they have in their bank account, but they don't know what they're pre-approved for. So oftentimes you don't see people pre-approved, or that's a mistake in my view, that they're not pre-approved prior to going to shop for homes. So if you were to go out and want to buy a home today and you're not pre-approved, you say, oh, this is great. Likely your competition is all pre-approved. They're ready to submit an offer today. You're a little bit behind and have to, scramble to get it going. So understanding that, I would say that's probably a very common mistake. And then shopping, looking for homes within your means, right? So if you are qualified for X amount, maybe you can purchase a home for 800,000, and that's what the bank will allow, or the lender will allow. but maybe that doesn't make sense for your budget, right? So I always share to look at the bottom line of what is your monthly payment, all in, taxes, insurance, mortgage, and is that realistic? Because you might qualify for a lot more, but that might not be the right amount for you. So working backwards from your monthly payment and looking in neighborhoods that you can actually afford, because in my experience, unfortunately, people tend to want more than they can afford, right? They're always looking at their maximum and they view a beautiful home and they can't afford it. So being realistic with what you can afford.
Anything else that you would consider like, some of the mistakes first-time buyers make?
I would say those are the biggest, being realistic with what you can afford, and and looking at your bottom line, all in budget, and then becoming pre-approved. But other than that, I think a lot of, if I was to share one more, the buyers can view that they might be experienced even though they've never been through the process. But as touching on having resources such as long contact lists of inspectors and loan officers, attorneys, real estate attorneys, people that you might title officers, people that you might need throughout your escrow. So it's a very in-depth process, as you know, going through it. But if you have all the contacts, and the process can be very smooth.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Another question that I have for you is, how can home buyers make, oh no, that's the next question. But how do you determine the right price for a home?
Great question, and I shared a few graphics as
Yes,
well.
let
If
me
you want
let me
to
look for that and share it. Is it this one?
Yes, this one's great. So if you can keep it right there at the
Mhm.
pricing strategy. So obviously we want to look at we look at comparable properties that have sold recently to a subject property. So if we're looking how to price a home in this specific neighborhood, we look at bedroom bathroom count, competing. If it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, we're looking at similar homes with similar square footage and what has sold, right? And so I look at where did that home list, what was the list price and what was the sold price, the closing price, because those are oftentimes different. It's not usually the same exact price. So you'll see here by pricing strategy, this is something I share with my home seller clients in initial meetings that oftentimes I'll meet with sellers and they'll try to, maybe they're leaning towards the side of overpricing their home. They'll say, but I just need one offer. I think someone's going to come in lower, but I want to start high. And that really is a detriment to them, because you want to have a lot of people looking at your home, right? You want multiple offers on your home. So you'll see at the middle there of where the people are, I guess, the heads, that's market value. So if a home is of market value there, pricing your home slightly below market value will attract the masses, right? To have multiple offers so that you can negotiate not only on price, it typically will drive price up. If you have 3 offers and they submit an offer on my home, I can send them a counter offer and say, submit your best price to me, right? And oftentimes price will inflate, but you can also negotiate other terms such as shorter inspection times and shorter escrow, things to your benefit. So it puts the seller in the driver's seat if you have a couple offers, because if you have one offer, the buyer's in the driver's seat and they can negotiate on price and a lot of terms, if that makes sense. I think the mic, I think the mic's not on your end, Mel. Okay.
Anything else you want to share on this graphic?
So that's what I was just sharing, is that you'll see on on the right hand side too, you'll see the activity level. It peaks within the first 2 to 3 weeks on the market. So once your home's on the market for 2 or 3 weeks, activity will dramatically decrease, and the buyer typically is in the driver's seat, because if you don't have an offer within the first 2 to 3 weeks on the market, then a buyer will view that as, I can come in below the asking price. I can submit an offer lower to try to have an opportunity here. So really what I coach sellers on in pricing their homes is to price it accurately, maybe slightly below the asking price, so that you can drive that price up with multiple offers.
Thank you. So when there's multiple offers in a home, usually one is outbidding the other, right? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So, for example, during the pandemic, right, it was a wild time. Interest rates were really low, but on some of my listings, I was having 10, 20 plus offers on a home, and I would work with the seller and we would send a counter offer. This is an extreme situation, but we would say, um, we counter the buyers with their best and final price and terms, and if the buyers want it bad enough, they're increasing their price. So it's not uncommon when you have 2, 3 plus offers that buyers will be increasing their price because they want to, secure the home and get their offer accepted.
Okay. You also share this graphic uh, with me. Is there anything you want to share from here?
Yeah, so this is just an example of a local market report that I analyze for specific areas. This is Torrance. There's several zip codes that make up Torrance, and I have graphics available per zip code, right? So we're looking at try to get as specific as we can, so it's not general to Southern California or Los Angeles, Orange County, but looking really within ranges. So this is something that I share with sellers as well and buyers so that they are realistic on price points. So you'll see the median list price and days on market here is a very great stat to look at. 48 days on market. Some neighborhoods, that's 14 days or lower. Some it's closer to that range. So we're looking at several zip codes here, but you can also see inventory. And over on the left side, it will share if it's leaning towards a seller's market or a buyer's market based on how quickly homes are selling. And so,
And so here is by zip code, right? Like
so this
that.
one, yeah, I could have shared, one zip code in Torrance is 90505, and I
Yeah.
could have had a specific report to that. This is Torrance, right? So there's several zip codes within
Yeah.
Torrance.
Oh,
So every zip code I can provide a market report for, and we can get very specific on pricing. And so you'll see it's towards a seller's market, as you'll see. A
it's at
strong,
56.
what's that?
It's at 56.
Yes, so it's a strong seller's market, as it will share down below, and there's some, details to read on. But at the very end at the lower portion of this page, you'll see that there's a price point, a median price range, square footage, and then bedroom, bathroom counts, and the age of the home, and then the far right side of this document shows DOM is days on market. So that's how long is a home on the market before the seller accepts an offer. So these are stats. These aren't just made up numbers, and it's very helpful to look at, especially if you're a home buyer looking at a price range. What can I afford? Let's look within a specific zip code at this. And if you're a seller trying to list your home, this is very helpful so that you're not unrealistic in trying to sell your home above what is realistic.
Yeah. I was looking at this graphic and I thought that I could uh, anticipate some things, but because I was thinking, okay, so the more expensive the home, the more it's gonna be on market. But that's not necessarily the truth because, like the second one here, the $1.3 million home, it was only like the average is 14 days.
Right, right.
So I was thinking the higher, the more it's going to be in the market, but not necessarily, right?
Right. And it's very, very specific. There's, like you previously asked, is it a buyer's or seller's market? And the next question I would ask is, well, where are you looking, right? Or where are you asking about? Because, for example, here in the South Bay, we have 18 cities, right, that consist of the South Bay. So there's a lot of differences within those, and the greater Southern California too. But yeah, it's a helpful graph. Look, if you're looking within criteria for a certain amount of square footage, certain pricing, it can give you some. It just could shed some light on what's realistic.
All right. So let's say, all right, I already put my offer in. It's been accepted, right? So what should me as a buyer look for during home inspection? Like, there's a period, right?
Right.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that period? Sometimes it's harder to understand what escrow is and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's lots of language thrown out there, and especially
Yeah.
for first-time home buyers. So breaking it down very, to simple phrases will help. But once your offer is accepted, you have a inspection period, right? Which is a period of time where you can inspect the home in any way you want. And if it's not to your liking or you see red flags, that's your opportunity to back out, right? And recover your deposit that you put down on the home. So that's the time to hit it hard and look at the home. And as my job is to help the buyers gain knowledge on everything bad about the home, right? I want buyers to know everything about the home before they sign off on that contingency and remove it. So for inspections, there's a general inspection where the inspector comes out and looks at all the major systems, and heating, plumbing, roof, and they always will have findings, but they will typically recommend you to investigate further certain aspects of the home. So each home's specific, but you can investigate the home in any way you want. So I have roofing professionals, plumbing professionals, mold inspectors, lots of different professionals that you want to come out to view the home. So in our area, termite, general inspection, and plumbing inspections are key. And a lot of times, homes that are 50 plus years old, they'll have some old plumbing. I mean, even younger homes than that, but in our area, we have homes that are built in the 50s or earlier, 20s, 30s. So looking at the plumbing is crucial. So I have a great plumbing contact, and we have him run a camera down the drains to view the integrity of the drains, so that you can see if it's, is it corroding, is it crumbling, is it going to go out on you? So overall, just want the buyers to thoroughly inspect the home.
Very good. Thanks, Tim. So I also remember, like, you mentioned, like, this is the time where you're like, okay, this is not to your liking. I remember, like, when I was in this period, that you found out that the AC actually wasn't working in the home. And then I think you came to me, it's like, okay, well, we can ask them to fix it, or we can ask them to take some money off the price or something like that. But I remember that it was very creative the way that you went about it. So, like, that's the time when you're able to do something like that, right?
Exactly. So, it's each situation is different, but that's a huge benefit to working with a realtor that will, have your back and know how the system works and negotiate, because the first negotiation is price, right? But the negotiations don't stop once your offer is accepted, right? So, in that situation, or there's some repair that's needed, providing the seller with a legitimate quote from a heating and AC contact, and saying, look, this was something that we were unaware of when we made our offer, and requesting that, first to be repaired, or if you'd like a credit, a dollar amount, so that you can fix it yourself afterwards. So it really depends. If there's 10 offers on a home, the seller could say, no way, right? You're fixing it. Or but or if there's no offers, right? You're, as a buyer, you're in a good position to ask for a credit or repairs to take place. But so that's a big part of my job, and a lot of times if you don't ask, you don't receive. So, but crafting a realistic request to the seller and not over asking is a strategy that I help home buyers with in making successful requests. And oftentimes putting yourself in the seller's shoe, if there's things that you were unaware of as a buyer, the seller likely didn't know about them too, and they could say, "Oh, I understand that," right? So that's, yeah, I'm in an escrow right now, and that's what we prepare to do, is craft a good request.
That's great. Thank you, Tim. So, how can buyers make their offers stand out? Like you said, sometimes there could be 10, 15, 20 offers. So, how can a buyer make their offers stand out in this when it's a competitive market?
It's a great question. So there's certain strategies. There's been I think when we worked together and I have several instances where we've crafted a good letter to the seller, you know, to show a compelling story, or, you know, I have a baby on the way, or here's where I work, and those are, you know, creative ways. You never know what the seller is going to connect with. However, they're trying to put some laws in effect, and the seller doesn't have to look at those as much as they would a couple years ago. But more than that is on my job, building rapport. If I'm working with the buyer, building rapport and learning the situation from the listing agent representing the seller, is how many offers are we up against, and learning how to craft our offer to be the best one. But I was in one situation where there was 30 offers, and, you know, I'm calling the listing agent, and we got our offer accepted over 30 offers, the buyers I was working with. And I believe it was because of consistent communication. Oftentimes when working with the seller, the listing agent, and myself too, you think, who do I want to work with, and who do I think is going to close, right? Sometimes people will just submit an offer, not even pick up the phone, right? You just get an email offer on this home, and no one picked up the phone. So really going the extra mile of over communicating on the buyer's behalf of, you know, what's the status, having the loan officer reach out as well. There's certain strategies to be, you know, respectful, but communicate a lot so that the seller and listing agent know that you're on top of it, and that you're not going to drop the ball, and we will close, right? So I think that's a huge aspect I've seen over the years of gaining success and having clients' offers accepted.
That's really good. So it boils down to having the right person representing you in this process, right? Someone that's, like you said, someone that you know is going to close.
Right, and that's what I believe in. And oftentimes, you know, if you're interested in a home, you're often not the only one, right? So a home that catches your eye will often catch someone else's eye too. So you really have to be prepared of how are you going to provide the best offer to this seller, right? And so there's a lot of strategy, and it's very specific to each home. So that's probably the biggest part of my job, is to dive in on what are the details of other offers and ask the right questions to gain as much insight as I can to share that with the buyer so they can make the best decision possible on price and terms.
Thanks, Tim. And so, what are the benefits of working? Like, you know, we already talked a little bit more on what are the other benefits of working with a realtor versus buying a home on your own.
Great question. Yes, I touched on it a little bit, but I would say that working with a realtor, you can, you know, negotiate not only thousands of dollars off the price or get the best price possible versus just, you know, submitting kind of blindly or thinking that this is based on what I would want, but really gaining insight on competing offers and knowing the first of all price to try to save you money there. But then also the future negotiations, right? There's, you know, unless a home is brand new, and even on brand new homes, I've helped clients negotiate. It's a brand new, you know, 2024 build. Just last year, helped someone do this, and they got things fixed in their home because they were working with me and submitted, you know, a request too. So there's future negotiations that can save you thousands, and you can there's strategies to request dollar amounts to help you save money. So I think oftentimes people think they can do it on their own, but a lot of times too, people are working, right? And they don't realize once you're in escrow, it's a full demanding everyday job. And I'm talking to clients on their lunch break or in the evenings to try to connect with them because, you know, to obtain acceptance and close on a home of your liking, you really have to, you know, outwit and be the best in this market.
You also shared a couple of pictures with me for, I'll share them real quick to see. It,
Yeah, so this graphic, and I have another one too. It's just I was sharing about marketing, right? So as a realtor, if you're looking to list your home and thinking I'll just do it on my own, right? There's certain resources as a realtor. We've discussed pricing strategies and contacts and those sorts of things, but having a stager, having the right real estate photographer, um, making sure that your home is clean and repairs are taking place, that buyers won't, gouge you with a credit or request, right? So this is just a great aerial picture of a listing I had in San Pedro that my photographer, he provides aerial virtual tours, and he's just that this is what he does full time, right? So this is just one segment of, it's not a cell phone picture, upload it, try to obtain offers. It's if you show the next picture too, is just making sure the home is prepared in the best way possible to obtain many people viewing the home. So this home had over 30 offers on the home, and so just preparing it, staging, and making sure that first and foremost people will see the home online first, right? All home buyers will see the home online first unless they just happen to see an open house sign. So making sure that there's pictures like this that will draw people in and say, look at that, I love that kitchen, right? And they want to come into the home, and once they're there, giving them that experience too. So it's not on a whim, it's very thought through, having the resources and connections. But beyond that, if I'm listing a home, I will call surrounding agents that work in that area that are consistently selling, or realtors that have worked on recently closed homes, because they probably met home buyers at their open houses, right? So beyond just listing a home online and hoping people come, is really being proactive in contacting other agents and agents in my office and in my sales meeting, promoting a listing, saying, are you working with a buyer that's interested in a home for sale for $1 million in San Pedro, right? So actively promoting to other agents is a huge component too, and having those connections within real estate.
I want to share a little bit about this particular part because when you helped me buy my home back in 2018, I remember that you sent me a link to this home, and the pictures on it were like very, very bad. Like they must have been taken on a flip phone.
Right. I
Yeah,
remember.
and it was really bad. And actually, when you call me, it's like, hey, we're gonna go see this house. It's right there. I'm like, you know what, Tim? I saw that one, and I don't think I even, it doesn't even. You're like, no, Melvin, I know this area. I just sold the house on the street to someone else. All the houses are kind of the same, so I know it. I know it will be good for you. So you convinced me. We walked in, and the kitchen was like fabulous, like, but there was no pictures of that on the website for like then. And then I remember that you even poked me like this in my ribs, and you're like, they didn't even have pictures of the kitchen. We got to
Right.
put an offer right now.
I remember that. I often tell that story, and when I see pictures of poor pictures online, I could tell it's from a cell phone, and I'm working with buyers. I say, let's get in there and view it, right? Because that's deterring a lot of other buyers, so it can limit, like in your situation, limit competition, right? So I remember in your situation, the kitchen was beautiful, and I said, no, they don't have any pictures. That's why no one's coming into this home. We need to move on it quickly. So that was a great situation.
Thanks, Tim. So, how do you handle negotiations both with buyers and with sellers? You help people buy homes and sell their homes, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
How do
So
you handle negotiations?
I work with home sellers and home buyers. So depending on which side of the transaction I'm working on, will depend on how I'm negotiating. So first and foremost, it's whoever's I'm representing. It's whatever's in their best interest, right? If I'm working with the home buyer, as I shared, learning as much as I can about the situation, negotiating on their behalf, trying to get the price as low as I can, or learning if there's many other offers, where are we within that range? So there's the first negotiation of the offer, and once that's accepted, as I mentioned, there's the negotiation of, maybe repairs or things that are needed to fix within the home that a buyer will learn through inspections. So if I'm working with the buyer, the view is, if you don't ask, you won't receive, right? If there's things that are broken, if you were unaware of it, those are the best requests to make. If you didn't know that there was a hole in the roof, you say that we were unaware of this when we made our offer, and let's ask for a credit or for it to be repaired. If I'm working with the seller, on both ends, I'm firm negotiating, right? If there's a hole in the roof and I'm working with the seller, say, that's for you to repair, buyer, right? So whoever I'm working with, I'm trying to save them the most money possible. And really you have to be firm, and you typically will see true light when, if you're a seller and you say, that's for you to repair. If they really want it, they'll move forward. And if that's a tipping point or a red flag for them to back out, they'll let you know. And then you can kind of go back and try to negotiate that. So, but on both ends, as I said, just trying to save people as much money as possible, negotiate on their behalf.
Thank you. So, what advice would you have for people that are both trying to sell their home? They're trying to buy a home, but also sell their current home. That's like I think I haven't been in that gray area yet, but I think it would be an area where I would need a lot of help. So, what advice would you have for buyers who are also trying to sell their home?
Sure. And I helped a home buyer sell their home and purchase early this year too. And it's called a contingent sale, right? The purchase is contingent on the sale of your home. So again, each one of these situations is very different depending on where your home is, how quickly it will sell. But there's a few different methods that you can approach this. You can list your home, and with the thought that we're going to list our home, but the buyer will know that we need to find a home before we can sell our home, if that makes sense. So if I'm selling my home and a buyer makes an offer, we have it in writing that this offer is contingent on the fact that I need to purchase a home, right? So, and once you locate a home, it's called a concurrent closing, basically closing right after each other, right? So if I need the funds from the sale of my home to purchase the next, then we close right before, and then we close on the next home. So there's two transactions involved that need to be on board. So there's more negotiation. If you are up against other offers and you have to sell your home first, you're typically at the lowest end of the list, right? If there's 3 offers and they don't need to sell their home, you're lower on the list. So, I don't want to be unrealistic. It can happen. It's challenging. So you really want to be prepared to price your home right. Another option is you can sell your home, and if you need the proceeds, you can ask for a rent back, which means you essentially rent your home back from the buyer that purchased your home, and you live there for up to 90 days. Lenders will allow you to live there for 90 days. So you can have your funds and then try to search for a home so that your offer doesn't have to be contingent on you selling. So there's other clients I have that they'll sell their home, they'll jump into a short-term rental because most people in our area need their money from the sale of their home to purchase the next. So it's not unmanageable, but you just have to really be on top of all details on multiple ends.
Thanks, Tim. I think I only have a couple more questions for you, and we talked a little bit in the beginning about this, but what trends do you see in the housing market for the next few years, or if that is that even possible to
Right. It's interesting, as I mentioned earlier, that predictions. I keep up with forecasters, economists, and at the beginning of the year, a lot of people will try to forecast and project interest rates. And this last year, they were all the ones I were following a lot of times wrong. So I always say kind of be wary, look at that. But from my insight and everything I've gathered from reviewing with those economics, I don't see prices dropping. They've been hinting at a long time for interest rates to come down, which means more people will be able to afford homes, which means more competition, right? So from a buying perspective, it could be more challenging and pricing could go up. So I don't think pricing will drop. If you're a home buyer listening to this and you're thinking, I think I should, or it would be a wise investment, I have some money I've saved up. Again, I would make sure you can afford it. and I would try to find the best fit for yourself, because you don't want to kick yourself here in a few years and say, I should have done it when I could have afforded a bigger home or something of that nature. So, but I think rates I don't see them coming down dramatically in the next year or so, but they're hinting a lot at that they will come down. So, I think that's the hope for a lot of home buyers. And for home sellers, home inventory, the amount of homes available is very low. So there's still so many buyers out there looking for homes. So if you're pricing a home accurately and doing, the methods that I shared to prepare your home, to list it and making it present in the best way possible, homes are still selling quickly. So it's an active market. You hear a lot of news out there, but homes are still selling quickly, and a lot of buyers are attracted to them too.
Okay, so last question is, how can people get in touch with you if they're interested in either buying a home or selling their home, or can they even reach out to you if they have like questions?
Of course, yes, of course. So I don't know if there's a way to share my contact information, but again, my name's Tim Houck, and I'm a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. My office is out of Redondo Beach and Palos Verdes, but I work all over Southern California. So I don't know, I could share my cell phone, or if you want to share it below, whatever works best. But yes, I'm happy to. You can look me
If
up or
if
share it.
if if you're okay with that, in the description of this video, we can share your information and people can
Sure.
actually reach out to you. So we'll have the uh, his information on the bottom of this video. You can look at the description, and we'll have it there, and we'll have his a link to his website or his email. If you can reach out to him and have questions, and he'll be very happy to work with you. Where's your main, I don't know how to say this. I was gonna say domain, like you're a king or something.
Yes. I think my
Where's your
office,
main area?
I have an office in Redondo Beach and Palos Verdes with Berkshire Hathaway. But I'm very mobile, to where like I shared, I've sold in 4 counties within Southern California, and so I'm not at a house every day. But so I go where the business leads and where I can help people. But um, overall, yes, feel free to connect. And I would say I hope I come across as a very low pressure person, as it's not in my timing, it's in the timing of my clients, which I think is really fun, and just try to help prepare them to make the best choice possible. So, I'd recommend connecting if you're interested on, either home buying, home selling, and you could determine if that's timing is sooner, or maybe that's years down the line, but at least you can be well informed on when the best time is for your family.
Yeah, and also I think if people are watching from outside this South Bay area, uh, I know that I've asked questions from you about stuff going on in Bakersfield and other places that are a little bit far, but you've always been kind and referring me to some of the people that you worked with in the past, or someone that you know that is trustworthy. So I know that you've been able to do that for me as well before.
Yes,
So,
of course. Thanks, Mel. And I do work as a relocation realtor, so I have a lot of contacts all over the country, and I've worked on, referring people internationally. But if you are looking, to purchase a home elsewhere and you're not familiar with the area or selling a home, I have great realtor connections, and I find that to be really fun. I interview realtors on behalf of clients to make sure that they're, working with a top producer and a trustworthy person as well.
all right. Well, thank you, Tim, for agreeing to do this with me. I know that it was very educational. I hope that it was very educational for the people that are going to be watching this video. I thank you, and thank you for helping me when I came to you back in 2018 to go through this process. It was very hectic for me trying to figure out all the paperwork and this and going to the right lender's office and all of this stuff. But you were very patient and like guiding me through the steps. So thank you for doing that. And I know that for some people, especially for first-time buyers, it's a lot of pressure. And but I know personally I've experienced that you're very patient with me and you guided me through the process, and thank you for the work that you did with me. So I hope that you'll be able to help other people as well, and that people just watching this video will be informed and make better decisions as far as their home buying or selling opportunities that they may have. So thank you so much, and we'll be looking forward to see people comment on this video, leave a like, share it if you have a friend that might be needing this information. So thank you.
Thank you, Mel. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and yes, I'm here to help, your family, or friends in any way possible. So again, it's been great to
Right.
be here. I'm really grateful. Thanks.
Blessings, Tim.
God bless, Mel. Thank you. Take care.